Hello, good evening. This is Mamudu Gajaga with QTV News. We're coming to you live from our studios along Caraba Avenue. Thank you for joining us. First, here are the main local news and international news stories. In an exclusive interview with QTV, the director of the Medical Research Council MRC on Tuesday revealed that sequencing of COVID-19 samples collected recently shows a rapid spread of the Delta variant in the country. While many welcomed Operation Clear the Streets as an opportunity to replace chaos with sanity, we hear from some of those affected by being forced to move due to the initiative. Recognizing that they play an integral part in the Council's governance system, the Brikama Area Council, in collaboration with the Department of Community Development, recently held a 3-day training course to strengthen and empower village development committees. In international news, today the West African nation of Niger commemorates 61 years of independence from France. In sports news, in an exclusive interview with QTV, the sports minister assesses Gambia's Tokyo Olympics performance and makes a promise of help that will give our athletes better future medal chances. Those were the main news headlines, and now the news in detail. Welcome and many thanks for joining us. This is QTV News. The director of the leading medical research institute in the Gambia, the Medical Research Council MRC, on Tuesday revealed that sequencing of COVID-19 samples collected recently shows a rapid spread in the Delta variant in the country, as has been confirmed by most samples collected since May. He made this disclosure in an interview with Ansumane Sonyasi.
There was renewed hope in the fight against COVID-19 following what appeared to be a lull in the number of daily recorded positive cases and the discovery of vaccines. However, despite the evidence of the efficacy of science and global efforts to turn the tide against a deadly pandemic that remains a global emergency, the world is yet again confronted with a fresh challenge. With the virus having mutated to a new variant, the Delta variant, which scientists say is more contagious, making genomic sequencing a necessity to establish its deadliness, we visited MRC the Gambia to find out the prevalence of this deadly variant that is said to be spreading faster and poses a substantial threat to human life than other variants. Professor Umberto de Alessandro, director of MRC Gambia, tells us what they know about the Delta variant in the Gambia and its prevalence.
During infection is much higher than other variants, so it's more easily transmissible. So that's why unfortunately spreading like much faster than the previous variant. Yes, but you know, in terms of risk of severe disease and risk of death, as far as I know, is not particularly different. But the fact that you have more people infected, the number of people is bigger. So, of course, you have more also severe cases, and you may have more deaths, unfortunately. Yeah.
As data continues to be collected and analyzed, researchers, health officials, and scientists are still trying to understand the new variant as well as the effectiveness of the vaccines. Professor Umberto de Alessandro says MRC continues to partner with government and other organizations, especially in the area of research. He warns against flouting COVID-19 guidelines, which he says are crucial to winning the fight against the virus. Explaining the process of sequencing, Jara Mane, Higher Scientific Officer, MRC Genomics Core Facility, and Bakari Sanyang, a PhD student also working at the Genomics Facility, warned that the Delta variant is highly infectious. Thus, the need for strict observance of the COVID-19 guidelines as the country experiences a surge in cases.
So when we say sequencing, it is interrogating the genome. The genome is made up of genes and a lot of other things.
This variant has evolved to an extent that it has developed more virulent factors compared to the previous variants that we've been seeing circulating here.
As a leading research establishment, MRC Gambia has also been sharing its scientific expertise with neighboring countries to complement regional efforts to track the virus by encouraging more sequencing and raising awareness over its infectiousness. As of Sunday, August 1st, 2021, the Ministry of Health reported that 2,501 new tests were carried out, out of which 334 positive cases were registered, bringing the total number of active cases to 947 and total confirmed positive cases of 8,296 since March 2020. 7,122 have recovered. However, a total of 227 fatalities has also been recorded. Meanwhile, officials are also encouraging people to take the COVID vaccines to protect themselves. So far, 31,254 people have received their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine and 12,303 have been fully vaccinated. Ansmane Sonyasi for KTV News.
Now, vendors and stall owners have voiced dissatisfactions over the police and NRA action called Operation Clear the Streets, which aims to remove vehicles and stalls parked or erected illegally on our roads. More in this extended report by Ajibintu Drame.
A few days after the launch of Operation Clear the Streets, we visited Birkama in the West Coast region, where the operation started. Birkama has been targeted as one of the places where there has been extensive encroachment into the road, resulting in major traffic blocks. However, while acknowledging the good intentions behind the initiative, there are consequences for some. It is a nightmare for these people, many of them women vendors, who have been selling here for decades and for whom this is their only livelihood. Using the open gutters as their spot for selling, these vendors put pieces of woods over the gutter to place their wares. We spoke to Huja Bojang, a vendor, who considers herself a victim of Operation Clear the Streets. She says she has been selling at the Birkama main junction for 6 years to support her 5 female children after her husband died 12 years ago. She claims there were no formal warnings to vendors like her prior to them being evacuated from their long-time spots.
I have nothing. We don't have anywhere to sell, and they haven't given us an alternative place for us to sell. No, as I asked, when we sell until 12 p.m., the first thing we do is go to the market and buy foodstuffs to cook. We come back at 4 p.m. and continue selling until 9 p.m. and we close for the day to prepare for the next day. We pay duties every day, both morning and night.
Since being forced to move out, Huja temporarily sells her items at a stall where they sell second-hand zinc and wood, just behind her now forbidden spot. Unfortunately, even this temporary stall is also a target for dismantling, according to the occupants of the stall. Huja continues by making a plea to the government. Asatu Kanyi, also a vendor, tearfully explains.
I
have 8 children, and I am the one who provides for them and pay their school fees and everything. I have been selling here for 22 years, and it is where I pay my child's school fees until she graduated. Since the previous government, no one removed us. We are women, and we should be helped and be prioritized as we play a huge role in the country's development.
Abdullah says he has been selling cream on the streets for over 10 years. After he was removed, he moved beside a shop's door to continue selling. Abdullah says where he temporarily sells is very dangerous due to the possibility of electric shock. He adds that he has no choice and urges the government to give them an alternative to continue their livelihood. Lamin Sane had this to say.
I have been selling second-hand zinc and wood for 30 years. This is where we earn our living. Our families depend on us for survival, and that is why I am sad. If they remove the structures we have here, only God knows how we will survive. We have been very tax compliant. I am appealing to the government to consider us.
Having a permanent structured garage is a huge financial burden and has long been a contentious issue in the Gambia, resulting in lots of impromptu garage, which are locally called pocket garage, which are found almost everywhere. As the operation is expected to be implemented in all regions, after the visit to Birkama, we visited the Serekunda garage to speak to one of the members of the garage about the situation.
It If the government must do the operation, it will be very hard on the drivers, because the drivers have families to take care of. The vendors selling on the streets are also breadwinners, especially women, many of whom are widows and have no one to provide for their families. But the government is not helping. This place is the center of the town and we made it a garage. The government should have helped us with a structured garage or car park, but they have not. We have been discussing this with the transport union, but the Ministry of Transport has never come to the garage to know what is happening.
Having spoken to these people, all they urge and hope for is an alternative location to continue with their daily businesses to provide for their families. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
The Brikama Area Council, in collaboration with the Department of Community Development, recently held a 3-day training course for village development committees in the West Coast region to enhance grassroots development. Abibatu Sise reports.
The training is to empower grassroots structures of the villages of Banyaka and Bontokoto development committees. It was part of the recommendations made after an assessment in 2020 by the Brikama Area Council and the Department of Community Development on empowering village development committees. At the event, Lamin Singate, the PRO of Brikama Area Council, says village development committees play an integral part in the council's governance system as they are the link between the council and the people. He adds that the training is expected to cover other communities in the West Coast region.
So the first phase is comprising of targeted 5 communities, 5 VDCs. But out of that 5 VDCs, today, since yesterday, it was only 2 that started. And that can be attributed to the, limited number of facilitators we have, because we are doing this in collaboration with the Department of Community Development.
Lamin Kebe, the Alcalo of Bontokoto, reveals that his village has struggled to have a well-structured village development committee, and this training will help improve the work of his VDC. VDCs are the Alcalo strengths when we have development projects. The strengthening of the VDC is very important for the village, and we thank the Brikama Area Council and partners. Ramatulai Kande from the Department of Community Development, responsible for the training, highlighted the expectations at the end of the training.
It's going to improve on their performance as a committee so that they can effectively and efficiently manage their own committee and then mobilize resources for the implementation of other projects within the community.
Lamin Diba, the ward councillor of Piran Ward, also highlighted the importance of the training, saying it will help them know their roles and responsibilities as well as limitations to avoid conflicts. The training is funded by the United Nations Development Programme. For QTV News, I am Abibatu Sise.
From that story by Abibatu Sise, we will now go for a short commercial break, and when we return, we will have some more stories for you, international and as well as sports news.
Join the Gambia's fastest growing network and enjoy high-speed 4G LTE. Dial *335# to subscribe to QCell's 4G LTE service. There's no need to swap your SIM. QCell, Senior Boss. We innovate, others follow.
Step into the future of television with sleek and slim design Samsung Smart TVs, ranging in size from 32 to 75 inches and in different technology. Smart LED, Crystal UHD, Ultra High Definition, and QLED Quantum Dot LED. Get new ways of interacting with your TV as our TVs offer an unparalleled vision adventure from the comfort of your living room. Ultra Viewing Angle, powerful picture quality, web browser, gallery, EarthNet LAN, wireless LAN built-in, Bluetooth, screen mirroring technology, mobile on TV mirroring, built-in voice assistance, Wi-Fi direct. Not only that, our TVs are backed with 12 months warranty and we are currently on a promotion. Contact us on 333-3217.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're watching, this is QTV News, and coming up next is international news. Niger is celebrating its independence from France. 61 years ago, on the 3rd of August in 1960, the Republic of Niger attained self-rule. However, instability remains a challenge for the West African nation. Aliou Cisse has the details.
A state on the edge of the Saharan desert, Niger is rated by the UN as one of the world's least developed countries. Between 1960 and 1974, Niger was run by a single-party civilian regime under the presidency of Hamani Diori. During this period, relations with France remained deep, with Diori allowing the development of French-led uranium mining elite, an industrial town founded in 1969 following the discovery of uranium. Niger remained a one-party state, with Diori surviving a planned coup in 1963 and an assassination attempt in 1965. Much of this activity was masterminded by Djibo Bakari's MSA Sawaba group, which had launched an abortive rebellion in 1964. In 1964, Diori was overthrown by his military chief of staff, Lieutenant Colonel Seni Kunche, after economic difficulties, devastating droughts, and accusations of rampant corruption and mismanagement of food supplies. The country will go on to experience a series of coups and periods of political instability. It was not until 1993, 33 years after the independence from France, that Niger held its first free and open elections. The country's name comes from the Niger River, which flows through the west of the country. The origin of the river's name is uncertain, though a popular theory is that it comes from the Tuareg Negiren, meaning flowing water. Today, the country struggles in the face of frequent droughts, insurgency, and widespread poverty. The country's economy is centered on subsistence crops and livestock. The West African nation has become noted as a major transit route for migrants heading to Europe. Niger, which is landlocked, is bordered by Libya to the northeast, Chad to the east, Nigeria to the south, Benin and Burkina Faso to the southwest, Mali to the west, and Algeria to the southwest. In April this year, former Interior Minister Mohamed Bazoum was sworn in as president in the country's first democratic transfer of power since independence. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
From that story about Niger, now we go on to sports news. The Minister of Youth and Sports, Bakari Baji, has told QTV that the Gambia government will work with the Gambian National Olympic Committee, GNOC, and the International Olympic Committee, IOC, to have our athletes taken to more advanced camps to give them better chances to compete for an Olympic medal. Minister Baji was speaking to our Babakar C via a Zoom call in this report.
Minister Baji arrived in the Japanese capital, Tokyo, to visit the Olympic delegation as a special representative from the government of the Gambia. The government supported the team with a $600,000 with air tickets to the games in a move praised by the athletes in Tokyo and those at home. In an exclusive interview with Mr. Baji, he told me how he thinks the Gambia can approach upcoming competitions after watching Gina Bass and others compete.
If we're able to take her away from Senegal or somewhere else and take her to a more advanced training center with better coaches, of course, with respect to the current coach of her, what we can see is she'll be able to improve more and possibly be able to win the medals in the upcoming games. That's something that we have already started working on even before coming here.
Mr. Baji said he is a keen follower of social media and the reactions from the public about the team moving to higher performing centers makes sense because one needs to prepare at the highest level to compete with the best in the world. The minister, however, did not agree with the comparisons drawn between Gina and the other athletes at the Olympic Games.
And they were all in the same training camp in Senegal, but that one had a better opportunity and moved out of that camp. So if we're able to do the same thing for Gina, I think it will be better. Of course, one thing I don't agree with is the comparisons that people try to put out there. The conditions are different. Of course, that specific athlete, for instance, has been on the track way before Gina, and the conditions are different. Gambia and, for instance, Ivory Coast and others, in terms of resources and everything, also very different. But we will do our part, not just for Gina, but for Ibrahima, Kamara, for Guaro, and any other young athlete that is in the Gambia that wants to focus on field and track and field, and any other game of the Olympics.
The Youth and Sports Minister could not end the interview without highlighting some of the social media comments that Gina should be given a car and a house by the government and has the special message of clarification.
there is no athlete, at least that we know of in the world, who is made rich by his government or her government. Athletes would normally go and compete, and when they win medals, it comes along with cash prize or cash prizes, depending on the level of the competition. And then when they come home, they eventually will get endorsement deals from companies. Companies will sign them up, and they serve as ambassadors for those companies and appear on their billboards, on some of their branding. In as much as government will do its part, and we will definitely do something, but it is not, within that confinement that we have to make give a house or give a compound or all of that. No, that's not what happens. Our companies in the Gambia also should come up and support our sports. It's not just good to wait until when they get there, you just make a banner and put their picture without their approval and use it as congratulatory messages. But they also need to support them, and that way they can be able to make it up.
The Youth and Sports Minister stated that at government level, they will do something to reward the athletes for their heroic performance in Tokyo, and will work with stakeholders like the Gambia National Olympic Committee and the International Olympic Committee to secure more scholarships for athletes to ensure we get better performances. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
Now that report takes us to a recap of our main news headlines. In an exclusive interview with QTV, the director of the Medical Research Council, MRC, on Tuesday revealed that sequencing of COVID-19 samples collected recently shows a rapid spread of the Delta variant in the country. While many welcomed Operation Clear the Streets as an opportunity to replace chaos with sanity, we heard some of the people who have been affected by the first move due to the initiative. Recognizing that they play an integral part in the Council's governance system, the Brikama Area Council, in collaboration with the Department of Community Development, recently held a 3-day training course to strengthen and empower village development committees. In international news, today the West African nation of Niger commemorates 61 years of independence from France. And in sports news, in an exclusive interview with QTV, the sports minister assesses Gambia's Tokyo Olympics performance and makes a promise of help that will give our athletes better future medal chances. That's all we have for you in today's bulletin. Thank you very much for watching, but do stay tuned as we would come at 10 to bring you more news stories.